Welcome to Syndicated Nightmares, where each week we take a deep dive into an episode of Freddy's Nightmares based on the Nightmare on Elm Street film series. Hosts Dave and Michelle are joined by Lisa Fuller, best known for her roles in Teen Witch and the Monster Squad. She also plays Julie in episode 15 of Freddy's Nightmares titled School Daze, which aired February 26, 1989, written by David Ehrman and directed by Michael Klein. Well, the synopsis for today's episode is: a Springwood High School student is summoned to the principal's office and begins having nightmares, leading him to the school's surprising secret. Another student dreams about failing his SATs.
So it starts out with, the main character for the first half is named Steve, and he's in a limo and with his father, and he's won Nobel Prizes, and there's beautiful women, and he's super successful, and then he wakes up and they're actually in a tow truck. And the dad is dropping him off at school and lecturing him about responsibility and not being a squeaky wheel.
Yeah. In his daydream,
is that what it was?
A billionaire because he invented some type of nasal spray. And he was a billionaire because of it. And as a billionaire, he solved world peace. Mm-hmm. And he's in a limo with his dad and a whole bunch of beautiful women. And that's like his fantasy. So I think starting off, you can tell that he has some like dad issues to where he's trying to make his dad proud if in his fantasy his dad is a part of like all of his luxuries, babes and limos.
They mention later that his mother passed away, but it's never really clear how. Mm-mm. It's just sort of, it's a bit vague.
Yeah, and they're a working class family because his family owns like a garage, a mechanic shop. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why he's dropping him off in a tow truck.
Yeah, and so he gets dropped off at Springwood High School, and I guess his whole shtick is that he's creative and nonconformist, because he keeps I didn't think he was that off the wall, but from the dialogue, that's what people keep saying about him.
He's in some type of class that isn't art class, or maybe it is, but whatever he was supposed to make, he didn't make it, and he made some like weird art statue, and so he ends up failing the class because he didn't follow instructions. Yeah.
Right. I think it was woodshop class.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and he makes some weird art thing.
And then he gets called to the principal's office, and he starts like bragging about his essay on the Scarlet Letter, like, well, this was my take on it. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think the secretary cares.
Yeah, so he goes to the principal's office, and I can't remember why he was there, but I know he's getting scolded for something.
Oh, that's the thing. They won't tell him. He's just tell me what I did. And they say, I wrote down the phrase violation of school spirit, and they're calling the authorities, and they bring in his dad, but nobody will tell him what he actually did.
He ends up having to go to he has to go to detention or something in order to make up for not having school spirit. But his dad is like, you can't go to detention, you have to pick up your brother. And do you remember his art piece turns into like Freddy's head?
Yes, it's like a bust that, it turns into Freddy. And I liked Freddy's line. He says, spare the blade, spoil the child. But he just, I don't know. He seemed like, I get the message, the first half of this episode is about conformity and struggling with that, but he also just sort of he didn't seem that nonconformist. It's like he wears a trench coat and he doesn't follow the assignments.
Yeah, that's more of like just a rebel, and a harmless one at that.
He wears sunglasses inside. He's just crazy. So he's in the principal's office. They won't tell him why, and he ends up going on the run. And it's, he's like running through back alleys, and there's the school bus searching for him that on the side of the bus it says Springwood Kid Catcher. So he's running through alleys, and he meets up with a bunch of bums who are hanging out around trash can fires, and they're all the nonconformists that didn't fit into the system. And so they're on the run, and they're burning math tests in the fire to keep warm. But then they're like, here's the test, and the principal is tied up, and they want him to shoot the principal to prove he's one of them
with a shotgun. Like,
yes. And then but he doesn't shoot the principal. He unties him and tries to help him escape, but then the principal turns on him, and he gets caught by the kid catching school bus.
And then it turns out that it was all a dream, as suspected at this point, knowing the series. He wakes up in the principal's office, and he sees his classmates and I wrote that it was like the Stepford wife state of obedience. And the kids who want to fight the system are being reprogrammed to be like compliant robots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it made me think of the movie Disturbing Behavior as well.
Oh, with Katie Holmes?
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't seen that movie, but working at a video store in the late 90s, I know exactly what the cover of the box looks like.
Yeah.
Because I had to put it away several times.
Oh. It's not really a cinema classic, but it's basically that plot, that the kids are being reprogrammed.
Okay.
To fall in line. They're turning students into robots, including his friends Matt and Julie. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he tries to pretend to be a robot, but then they grab him and push him into the machine. Mm-hmm. He wakes up, and then he's like, I've learned my lesson. I'm not going to be I'm going to be a conformist now.
Yeah. He wakes up in the principal's office, and it turns out like he wasn't even needed at the principal's office. They got his name and someone else's name mixed up. Mm-hmm. And so then he goes back to class, and he shows how compliant he's going to be by making the woodshop assignment instead of his little piece of art. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I wrote in my notes, why does Freddy care about school spirit?
That's a good point. I mean, I guess like a lot of these episodes, it's just taking anxieties and turning them into
fears and
nightmares.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, like I said, he didn't seem like that unusual for a high school kid.
No, not at all.
Yeah, it was more about saying he was nonconformist than actually being nonconformist.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what they would have been able to do on network TV to show how much of a conformist he was. So maybe they just had to rely on the tell instead of show aspect of writing.
True. Yeah. But they even reference like, look at how he dresses, but he's wearing a trench coat, but otherwise he's dressed like everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think like if he was trying to be a nonconformist, I don't know, he would like come to school wearing a kilt. That's what some guy in my high school did. Like that was his thing. He would just wear a kilt to school, and I think he ended up getting suspended. And he was going to get suspended for it, and then his parents, which was really cool, his parents took him out of school, like took him out of my school completely, because they were like, if you are going to try to take away his originality, and then we're not going to send our son here. And that was really cool that his parents did that.
Oh, yeah, that's really nice.
Because all the kid wanted to do was wear a damn kilt. Like, who cares? Mm-hmm. He wants to wear a kilt. Yeah.
Exactly. Huh.
Yeah, so that
was... see, there's nonconformity.
Exactly. Yeah. So then it goes into the second half of the episode that really has Lisa Fuller in it.
Yes. Yeah, so his friends Matt, Matt played by Billy Morissette, and Julie played by Lisa Fuller, who are, they're introduced in the first half of the episode, and then the second half is focused on them. And they're, it starts out with them waiting for his SAT scores. Matt's parents are waiting for his SAT scores, and the limo pulls up, and these girls jump out. They're like Hooters girls, and they each have a letter on their shirt that says SAT. Uh-huh. And then he wakes up and he's been dreaming in SAT prep class.
Yeah, and it turns out his girlfriend Julie, she wants him to do well, so he gets into a good college and then he'll get a good job and they'll have a great life together. It seems like she really does care about him and their relationship, because if she cares about him getting a good job after school, then it seems like she's in this for the long haul.
Yeah, I mean, she talks about their plans to be, she calls it a DINK, a dual income, no kids family.
Oh, yeah. I heard that like several years ago, and
really?
I was kind of like, what? No.
I've never heard that acronym before.
Yeah, a DINK, yep.
But yeah, she's got it all planned out that they're both going to head east and go to college and get great jobs. And through the whole episode, they're just talking about college in general. At the very end of the episode, he references Harvard. Mm-hmm. So the whole time I was thinking, why are they so stressed about SATs? Like they're important, but they're not that big a deal if you've got really good grades as well.
Yeah.
But then when he says Harvard, I'm like, oh yeah, you really you really do need a great SAT score.
Although I don't think that Harvard would take anyone from Springwood High. I have a feeling like they would take somebody who maybe went to like a prep school, or parents could afford to buy a new wing at the school. You know, like I just don't see a Springwood High student going to Harvard. I might be wrong. I don't know.
Right. You'd have to be pretty exceptional. And if that was what Julie's plan was, that we're both going to go to Harvard, like, we don't really know her background academically, but it's really unlikely that the two people from the same high school would both get into Harvard.
But Elle Woods got into Harvard, so you never know.
She did. Yeah. Be like, if I fail the SAT, I can just make a fun video to send with my application.
That was the best video, and this is from Legally Blonde. That was the best video. Like, even when I watch it now, I know everything that's going to happen, and I just crack up.
Yeah, I love that movie so much.
At the Days of Our Lives part, because I used to watch Days of Our Lives, and so when she starts talking about Stefano DiMera, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember him.
Oh, was that actual, like...
Yeah, those were actual
that was an
characters.
Actual plot from the show?
Yeah, it was.
That's great.
Yeah. So Julie and her dad come over to Matt's house for dinner, and it turns into an SAT prep dinner. And the reason why Julie's dad is there is because he can give him a college recommendation because he's a banker in Springwood. But Matt wants to major in music, and maybe he can get a job at Springwood Records.
Just like, what's Miranda?
Yeah, Miranda was her name. Well, yeah, and so Miranda, she isn't able to work anymore, so he can just fill in for Miranda.
But yeah, I liked that whole dinner scene, and he walks out to get more coffee, and he comes back in, and they're all lying in a square on the floor and asking him to solve a math problem about them.
Those math problems, they started off pretty possible to solve, and then they just went into like a crazy scenario or situation of like there are two trains and they leave the station at the same time, headed in opposite directions or something, and then they start talking about, and then they crash into a wall, and if of course it gets really violent because it's Freddy's Nightmares. But yeah, I was trying to like solve it as they were going along, but then I was like, oh no, I'm not supposed to be able to. Okay.
Yeah, along those lines, the Freddy stuff. I don't mean this as a negative against the episode, but some episodes are pretty gory, whereas this one, this episode is pretty PG, which which wasn't a bad thing. It was a cute episode, but oh yeah.
So during their SAT prep dinner, Julie's dad opens Matt's head and puts knowledge into it, and it was kind of like that's how you would have done it before being in the Matrix, and how they just kind of like uploaded information into your head, and Neo knew jujitsu or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so instead of like uploading it into his head because they didn't have computers then, or computers like that, he just like sawed his head open and just dumped a whole bunch of books and stuff into his head, and that was giving him knowledge.
Yeah, and then he wakes up from that in his bedroom, and he's, I guess is the next scene, he's actually taking the SATs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he and Julie are like sitting right next to each other taking the SATs.
Yeah, so they take it, and nothing eventful happens, and it's over, and she seems nervous, and he seems okay with how he did. And then I guess this is dark, but I thought it was kind of funny. They walk out and they hear a bang, and there's like someone's just shot himself in front of them, and he's written in blood, I got a 400 on the SAT.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Because it does feel like that. How many times has someone said, like, oh, if I get less than, 1,200, I'm going to kill myself, or, whatever.
Do you remember, were you nervous about the SATs, or did you put a lot of weight on it when you took it?
No, I didn't care at all about it. So much that I got a 750 combined on my SATs. That's how horrible that I did. And I think my ACTs, I got like a 17. That's how little I cared about them. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. My mom was so mad. She was like, you made me waste this money signing you up for these SATs. You didn't even do well on them. And I was like, well, sorry, but, I don't care. Mm-hmm. I took them when I was a junior, so I didn't have a lot of the math that was on there already.
Okay.
Yeah. How did you do on your SATs?
I did decent, not great.
Not as bad as 750.
But I didn't, I don't remember being particularly nervous. I didn't, like, when I went to graduate school, I was really like, I'm going to study, I'm going to do really well. Mm-hmm. But the SATs, I don't think I studied at all. I think I just went and took it.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I did. Well, I only went because my best friend was going to take her SATs, and we were joined at the hip. So anything she did, I did. And so I only took them because she was going to take them. And I finished mine way before she finished hers because she actually gave a damn.
Okay.
And she got mad at me because I was bored and you weren't allowed to leave. So I was like kicking her desk and everything. And she turned around and threw her pencil at me to get me to stop and now looking back on it, I'm sure she probably thought like, oh, the instructor is going to think that we're cheating and we're going to fail the SATs because you're fucking around back there.
Well, also she's just trying to solve problems and someone's kicking her chair.
That's true. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Well, I hope she did okay.
Oh, she did great. She's a director at ESPN right now, so she did really well on her SATs.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. But this episode, they basically imply that, like, I wrote in my notes, like, SAT scores mean everything because they're just that's all any of the characters can talk about, and they pretty much flat out say, like, your SAT score will determine the rest of your life. And
that's such a crock.
Right. I mean, even if it's about getting into a good school, I mean, Harvard, you need to be at the top of your game in every aspect.
Oh yeah,
but generally, like, the SAT score is just one piece of it, and I would think it's much more important that your grades overall are good.
In the episode, he's then interviewed by Julie's dad. Is it for college or for a job? I think he's interviewed to get a job as a banker. Because his dad says that good SAT scores will give you, well, basically her dad implies that good SAT scores will give you power, sex, and money if you're a banker. So then Matt goes home and he's feeling pretty good about his chances. And he's outside with Julie and his parents outside the house. And the principal walks up, but he's dressed up as the mailman. And he has his SAT scores. So he gives Matt his envelope and he opens it and he ends up getting an 800 combined. His parents and Julie, they are just mortified by how terrible he did.
Yeah, that scene was really funny because they just they walk away, like Julie jumps in the car and drives off and his parents go in the house and slam the door.
Yeah, he's just like abandoned by his girlfriend and his parents over an SAT score.
And then it cuts to a year later and he's the janitor in the school, and Julie comes back and she's left him for this other guy,
Well, she's with
And
all her, like, smart SAT friends from her new college. And for whatever reason, she's giving them a tour of her high school.
and they're like, remember when we took the SATs here? Like, that's not. I don't know. Like if I were listing, memories about being in high school that stood out, I don't think
Taking your
SATs wouldn't
SATs.
didn't really make the list.
It turns out that she ended up leaving Matt because of his low SAT scores. She is showing her friends, like, the school, and when she sees Matt, she won't even introduce him as, like, her ex-boyfriend because she's still so embarrassed that he did that poorly on his SATs and now he's a janitor because of it.
Yeah, poor Matt.
I know. Poor Matt. And he's so distraught that he ends up, like, while he's cleaning, he ends up breaking a microscope in the science lab. And so he cleans it up and he goes home. And when he goes home, he finds out that his dad is, like, on his deathbed. So he can't work. And it's all up to Matt and Matt's paycheck in order to, like, keep the household running. And the family home is about to be foreclosed on because the dad isn't working. Julie's dad shows up as the banker to basically foreclose on the house. And he says, okay, if you give me your paycheck, we'll, like, consider it all clear. But he doesn't have a paycheck because he had to pay for the microscope that he broke. And then because he broke it, he lost his job.
Yes.
So basically his dad flatlines and then they lose the house all in like a matter of seconds.
Yeah, the mom is sobbing over the dad and she's like, it's all because of those SATs.
Yeah, so then Matt wakes up and it's because he actually slept through the SATs.
Yes. Well, first he wakes up in bed and then he comes downstairs and they're like, surprise, you got an amazing SAT score. And then he wakes up again and yeah, he slept through the entire test.
Now, like, maybe the instructor wouldn't have woken him up because it's kind of like, you're on your own. But Julie was right next to him. Wouldn't she, like, nudge him or kick him under the desk or something to wake him up?
You would think so. And also, I remember it was in a lot of sections. Like, there were 15-minute and 30-minute sections. So even if she didn't want to do anything while she was taking the actual test, there should have been, like, breaks where she could have nudged him.
I don't know. So I think it's kind of Julie's fault as well that if all this comes to real life, that it's her fault as well.
And she's mad at him for sleeping, but yeah, he should be mad at her.
Yeah, like, wait, I have my back there, Jules.
Yeah.
So anyway, so he's leaving the school and he can take his SATs again next year. So it's not like the end of the world, but still kind of sucks. When he gets home, a limousine pulls up and it's a representative from Splash Records and they want to sign him. So he's going to live out his musical career after all.
Yes. Yeah, he had made a reference earlier in the episode about sending his demo out. And the woman comes out and she's like, we got your demo and we want to sign you.
So I think this so far is like the only happy ending in Freddy's Nightmares episode. How'd you feel about this episode?
I thought it was fun. I mean, like I said before, it's very PG, so it was fun in a cute way. It wasn't really horrific. But yeah, just it was a cute episode. What did you think?
It was cute. The whole SAT thing. It was a nice reminder of, oh yeah, when I was 16 or 17, my friends were all freaked out about it. Not to the point that Matt and Julie were in this episode. But yeah, it was cute. So I think now is a good time to bring Lisa Fuller on so we can talk about her involvement with the episode.
Yes. So I'm so excited to talk about Freddy's Nightmares with you. But before we get into that, I just want to tell you I'm a huge fan of Teen Witch. I've seen it so many times and I've got lots of friends who like it. And it's just such a great movie and you play such a fun character. And so just wanted to tell you I'm a huge fan.
Cool. That's good to hear.
Can I ask you just real quick what the experience was like making that movie?
Oh, it's super fun. I met my husband on it, and we're still married, and we have a 27-year-old son. So yeah, it was overall completely and totally great memories and very pleasant.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Excellent. So for Freddy's Nightmares, before you did the show, were you familiar with the series or with the Nightmare on Elm Street movies?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, wasn't everybody?
Yeah.
I mean, they're iconic. Yeah, definitely.
Are you a horror fan?
I mean, yes and no. I definitely was when I was younger. And I like some of the older horror movies, like Them and The Invisible Man, The Shrinking Man. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the movie Beach Girls and the Monsters.
No.
It's kind of an obscure. It's a super cool. It's a really fun movie. So kind of, I guess.
Do you remember what the audition process was like?
It was very similar to most of them. Just getting the call from my agent, going in, and I remember totally identifying with reading for it because it was about SATs and stuff like that. So I had already been through all that stuff in high school. So it was, so I remember that.
Yeah.
And it was pretty typical, the audition process as far as going in. I think call back and then basically call and they let you know you got the job.
Can we ask how you did on your SATs?
Oh, probably not as well as the character did.
Yeah, my SAT scores were pretty low, but I managed to get into college anyway, so.
Yeah,
mine were not great either.
I thought I do remember thinking that the episode was super cute, the way they did that, like the paranoia and all of that. I thought that was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like working on the show?
Oh, it was great. Everybody was super friendly. It was, I mean, no stress. I do remember it being like really fun, because of, it's one of those things where, you're not taking yourself too seriously or anything like that. And it's strictly all for entertainment. So I remember it being really, really pretty actually relaxed. And I remember everybody being really, really nice.
And I know this episode, it doesn't really have Freddy in the episode. He just sort of does some intro and pops up here and there. Did you ever see him on set, or was that
no, I didn't.
Separate? Okay.
I did not. But one of the things that I was really excited about was I got to do some prosthetics. Mm-hmm. And I've always liked special effects makeup. I've always thought that was really interesting and cool. And there's a scene in it, from what I remember, is like my eyeballs are out or something like that. So yes. I had to go to the special effects warehouse, and they took the form of my face, and then they made these prosthetic eyes, and they put screen on them, so it was supposed to look like I didn't have eyeballs, but I could actually see out from all the little dots. So I just remember that being like setting this job apart from other jobs was the whole special effects makeup thing made it even more fun.
Oh, that's great. So was that your favorite scene to film of this episode?
No, I think there was like a dinner table scene or something. I thought that was kind of quirky and weird and fun, isn't it? From what I remember, I actually went to try and find the episode, and I couldn't find it before you guys called, and I couldn't find it. So wasn't it kind of like a bizarre episode dinner scene? Strange, kind of.
Yeah, it was Julie and her dad. They were over at the boyfriend's house, and the dad is a banker and can give the boyfriend a college recommendation if he does well on his SATs. So the boyfriend is kind of like daydreaming about all these crazy SAT prep questions that your dad is asking him, and they're crazy questions that don't make any sense at all. And
right, so that's what I remember, and I remember thinking that was kind of funny and quirky and enjoying it.
Yeah. There were some of the questions I was trying to like play along with them, because they started off as probable. And then it just took a left-hand turn, and so there was no way
into
that
complete
you could,
absurdity.
Yeah.
There was a great line where he's eating something and they say like he has a tendency to choke, which I thought was really clever.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
When you have dinner scenes like that, or any scenes that involve food, do the actors actually eat the food? Do they just consider that their lunch or dinner for the day?
No, not usually. But I mean, I guess sometimes you have to excuse me. I'm kind of getting over the flu.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I guess sometimes you really eat. I mean, it all depends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, continuity is always an issue with food. You know, it's always fun to catch people where one scene it's like, or like the smoked cigarettes or things like that. So that makes eating a little difficult because, you know, it makes cutting into the scene a little bit more difficult if you're really eating all the food on the plate and then suddenly more food appears, or then all of a sudden food's gone. So that kind of a thing. So no, I don't believe, and you know, it's cold. It sits there. It's pretty gross.
I was looking at your IMDb page, and you've been in a lot of shows that like great shows, Fresh Prince and Head of the Class and Charles in Charge and 21 Jump Street. And how did this, did you have a favorite show you guest starred on, and how did this compare to other experiences?
I wouldn't say I had like one real standout show. The movie Monster Squad was really fun to do, which I guess is sort of a horror movie, another one, because we shot on the studio lot, and a lot of times you shoot on location. So it was really fun to shoot on the lot where so many movies have been shot, you know, the history of Hollywood and all of that stuff. So that made that really fun. Nightlife was fun because, again, it was special effects, makeup and prosthetics and stuff. So they actually did a body cast because my character turns into a zombie and gets burned and all these other stuff. So that was kind of, that was another fun one. So involving, you know, makeup. Let's see. And Fresh Prince, everybody was just, you know, fantastic, super nice. Will Smith was so funny. And so that was entertaining to be on the set. So, and then Teen Witch was great because I met my husband.
So, and if you were to get back into acting, is there a like a dream role or a dream project that you'd like to do?
Sitcom, which they don't really do very much anymore, is pretty much a fun thing to do, just because of the schedule they keep, and it's simple, it's easy, it's kind of silly, you know. So I like doing sitcoms, like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or Head of the Class, and then you're kind of putting on a play on, you know, for the live audience.
And when Freddy's Nightmares came out, do you remember like the reaction to it? Did you watch it like with family and friends?
I can't remember. I think that was always a syndicated show, right? And so I don't remember almost, you know, because it's not like a 247 back in the day, or, you know, prime time thing. And I think it was on at like 11 or something, on maybe Channel 5 or 11 or something like that. But yeah, I'm sure I set my VCR and taped it.
That's cool. I would totally, I would do that too. Like anytime I would think that I was on TV commercial or whatever. Yeah. I would totally save it in some way.
Yeah. So I'm sure I did that because that's what we used to do, you know, set the VCR timer.
So the first half of this episode before they get in the SATs is all about conformity, and like the main character Steve is all proud of being a nonconformist, and that's sort of what that half of the episode centers on. So I was just curious if you would have considered yourself like a nonconformist in high school, or if that had related at all to your own experience.
Well, I mean, I guess going into acting would be sort of nonconformist. It's not the typical or normal trajectory to take, I guess.
Did you grow up in LA?
I did, actually. Well, I grew up in Orange County. Was in choir, but not a cheerleader. So, I mean, you know, so involved in some stuff, but not necessarily, you know, total mainstream, I guess. But yeah, it was good. So, I mean, I guess conformist, nonconformist, it's
Right.
What did you like to do when you were in high school for activities or hanging out with your friends?
pretty much the arts, music, acting, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think we probably would have hung out in high school then because that's what I was doing too.
Yeah. Oh, and hanging out with my dog. I love animals and my pets and stuff
awesome.
like that. So yeah, and being outside and nature, that kind of stuff. So that. So now, do you guys only do the Freddy's Nightmares, or do you do other syndicated type things?
We just started with this podcast, and Freddy's Nightmares is the first round of shows that we're doing. So we're halfway through season 1 of Freddy's Nightmares, and then we'll go on to season 2, and then after that, and we'll just get together and figure out what show to do after that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so I just noticed today, because I looked it up, I Googled it, and went onto my IMDb page. And so I guess this is episode 15, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Cool.
it aired February 12th, 1989, so we're almost at the 30-year mark for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys probably weren't even born yet?
Oh, we were. I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
I was 10, I think. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, it's crazy how so many of these things from the 80s, like Teen Witch or things like, how such a younger generation have discovered them through, cable, rerunning on TV and things like that.
Yeah. If Freddy's Nightmares was ever picked up again, would you want to be on another episode?
Oh, of course. Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah. Are you interested in writing or directing at all?
No, mostly since I haven't been acting anymore, I've been pursuing music. So
nice.
I released a jazz album in 2006, and so I play the guitar and sing and write songs and that kind of, that satisfies, I guess, my creative urges.
Oh, fantastic. Where would people find that album?
I believe it's on
iTunes.
It's on iTunes. It was released on, I think, Bizarre Planet, like I said, 2006. I'm pretty sure it's still on iTunes, and there's some tracks, I believe, on Spotify. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Nice. Yeah. Do you go to any conventions to meet fans?
I haven't, but I would be really open to that because I hear that's kind of a big thing.
Yeah. I'm surprised that there hasn't been a Teen Witch reunion convention out there somewhere. That would make sense to have one.
Oh, yeah, I know. And then my husband and we could show up together.
Yeah.
It would be great. Yeah, they haven't. I mean, I've did, there's a documentary that was made on the Monster Squad, which I think came out in 89, I think. And it's called Wolfman's Got Nards. And so they kind of took this documentary and they went across the States and Australia and the UK and I think even Spain. I mean, they took it everywhere. It's a really cute documentary. And I guess they've kind of gotten on, some of the actors in that have gotten on the circuit. And so, yeah, I guess I just haven't really looked into it, but I'd totally be open to it.
Have you gone to any other revival screenings of Teen Witch?
I haven't. I guess it was one in San Francisco, and we were thinking about going, and we actually had something come up, and we couldn't attend. So, and I haven't heard of any more since then. So, I'm not sure.
All right. I went to one like a long time ago in I think in 2004, and Robin Lively was there, and it was just fun. It was like auditorium full of Teen Witch fans, and they passed out the lyrics atop that. It was a great time.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, we actually did when they re-released it on the DVD. They did a little extended interview thing, so we all got together to talk, and it was great to hook back up with them and, find out what everybody was up to. I think that was maybe, gosh, I wonder if it's like almost 3 years ago now. Time goes so fast. But anyway, but yeah.
And I saw on your IMDb page you were on a TV show with Robin Lively called Freshman Dorm.
Oh yeah, Freshman Dorm. Unfortunately, we didn't have any scenes together.
Oh really?
Yeah. So mine was all based in the sorority, and I think hers was based more in the freshman dorm. And so we did eat lunch together one day when we kind of overlapped on working days, but mostly my stuff was all in the sorority house. But that was pretty fun too. I liked that job too. I didn't get picked up though.
Was it a sitcom or a drama?
I think it was kind of, I believe it was an hour show. And so it was single camera. And so I think it was sort of, kind of like a 90210 type.
But I definitely would have watched it if it.
Yeah. I think what they did, I think they shot 4 or 5 episodes, and then they just didn't pick it up.
It never aired at all.
I think they aired the 5 episodes or 4 or 5, however many it was done, however many years on there on the IMDb. I can't remember. Where are you guys, by the way?
I'm in Ohio.
And I'm in West Hollywood.
Ah, cool.
So, yeah. So I was telling Michelle, I live, there's a Fuller Avenue near me. And so every time I drive on it, I think of you.
Oh, that's so cute. Yes. Yeah. I've driven past that. What's funny? Guess who I think of? I believe that Jim Morrison had a girlfriend with the last name Fuller, and I always think of her.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, I think her name was Pam Fuller. I think that's the name in the book. Anyway, yeah. So how did you guys meet?
I'm originally from Ohio.
Okay.
And we actually met in the 90s chatting on AOL Instant Messenger about Nightmare on Elm Street. And then a few years after that we met in person, and I go back to Ohio a lot because my family's still there. And so we've been friends for over 20 years.
Oh, cool. Yeah, they need to now. Is there anywhere where this particular? I mean, how did you guys find it? Where did you see it the first time?
Well, we watched it when it was first broadcasted. And then
as little kids, basically, as 9 and 10-year-old. Okay.
And then Chiller TV station, they re-aired it not too long ago, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. And then at conventions, they may or may not sell bootleg copies of it. So there's also that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, but I would love for them to release it officially, and I would buy it.
Yeah, they totally should. I don't understand why they haven't. That's why I was asking, kind of just where, because this was so, it seemed to come out of left field for me. When you guys contacted me, I was like, wow, that's so obscure.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I went on YouTube to try, and it was just Freddy's scenes. It was all edited, I guess I haven't seen the episode for years, so this is all just kind of fuzzy memories.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Thank you so much for listening. Please join us next week when we talk about season 1, episode 16, Cabin Fever, where Robert Englund and Leslie Dean reunite after 976 Evil and before Freddy's dead.